Hello again, this is Nell T. Campy getting ready to judge the senior walk trot equitation. This is our pattern. We start before A, walk to A, back a horse length, quarter turn on the forehand left. Then we're going to start our posting trot, left diagonal, change diagonals in the center, trot this circle around B. When they get to the center again, they're going to do a sitting trot until they're even with A, walk a half circle here, and then posting trot right diagonal. So it's a fair amount of pattern for a walk trot class, but I figured the seniors can handle that, and then that gives me something to judge them on. I'm going to do this the same way that I did the showmanship. So I'm going to start from the lower placings and go up from there using the quarter horse score system. So it's going to be a range from -3 to +3 on the maneuver scores, and then penalties where they apply. Okay, so we're starting off here with Summer. Summer rode 2 horses, so this is Summer on Whiskey. Let's get her back to the beginning here. Okay, I think this size will work for me. Let me find her on my score sheet. All right. So our first maneuver is to walk. I like that she walks up there with some forward motion and some confidence, +1/2 on that maneuver. Backs up. I'd like to see the horse a little less fussy in the bridle, but correct. So I did a 0 on that. Turn on the forehand is not bad, +1/2. So right here, when she starts off, what I had to do is I had to do a penalty 3 for obviously looking down at the diagonal. And we'll watch that. So glances down, penalty 3. And starts off on the right diagonal and then changes to the incorrect diagonal, which is a penalty 5. And I had a -2 on the maneuver score. Here in the center then, because we were on the wrong diagonal, when she changes diagonals, she changes to the wrong one and then remains on the wrong diagonal for more than 2 strides. So that's a penalty 10, and I had to do a -2 on the maneuver score. And Summer, your form is good. It's just the penalties are knocking you way down on this. Still on the wrong diagonal here, so that's that penalty 10. Breaks down to a sitting trot. Fairly good sitting trot. I did a 0. Transition to the walk is correct. I did another 0. And then steps off correctly on the right diagonal here for our last trot. I did a 3 on the F&E, the overall form and effectiveness. Nice rider here. I like the horse. Just the penalties killed you on this one. We ended up with 18 points of penalties, which really does drop your score down a little bit. So I had you at a 55, I believe, overall. Again, decent run, correct rider. It's just sometimes the penalties get us on these. All right, let me get out of this. And those diagonal ones are tough. Okay, then we've got Summer here riding her horse. This is Royal. Let's get you big here. Okay. So again, I like how this rider just steps right up into that walk, carries some forward motion. Sometimes people dilly-dally at the walk and that ends up a negative maneuver, but that's not the case here. 0 maneuver score. The backup, a little resistance in the backup. Does get it done, but I had to -1 the maneuver score. Same on the turn on the forehand. The resistance is the reason for the -1. Does step off on the correct diagonal here, so I did a 0 for this trot. The horse gets a little less round on the circle. We see a little fussiness in the head and neck, so that did take away, down to a -1 for the maneuver score. Breaks to the sitting trot. Again, Summer, you're doing a great job. Your horse is knocking your maneuver scores down a little bit. A -1 for the sitting trot, 0 for the walk. Nails the diagonal here for a 0 on this last trot. I did a 3 for the F and E again, so an overall score of a 69. Definitely getting up there. Without the penalties, that was almost an average run, and just when you get past the resistance in your horse's head and neck, then I think you'll easily be above average. Good job riding through that though, and I really liked how this rider continued to show, despite the fact that the horse was not having a perfect day. Okay, next we are moving to Stacy. Let me find her on my sheet. Okay, I've got her here. Get her back to the beginning. I want to be where Stacy is, where they're wearing shorts. Walks up to the first cone. Horse is steadying the bridle, +1 for that maneuver. Backs up pretty consistent here. Little slow, but I still +1/2 this maneuver. Pretty good turn on the forehand, little up and down in the head carriage, but I still +1. And then what happens here, and I just want to make sure I'm correct on my score sheet, so we're going to watch it again, is I've got a penalty 5. So steps off on the incorrect diagonal and then switches it to the correct one. So penalty 5 with a -2 on the maneuver score. Here we're on the correct diagonal, so this circle was a 0. Rider's position is pretty good, hands are pretty good. Maybe gets just a touch of slack in the rein. I'd like to see a stronger connection there, but not bad. Transition to the sitting trot is correct. That's a 0. Same with the transition to the walk, another 0. And there's nothing wrong with 0. 0 is correct. Could maybe even walk on a little bit more for a higher score there. Nails that diagonal, +1/2 on the last trot. A 3.5 for the F and E. Again, just work on those diagonals. That does affect the overall form and effectiveness. And with that penalty 5 for the diagonal, we're still at an overall score of 69.5. So we definitely be above average without the penalties. Okay, moving up here. Let's see here. Okay, we are to, I believe, my 6th place horse. There were 9 entries in here. Yeah. Okay, then in 6th place, we have Ashley. Yep. Okay. Steps off here, good walk. Nice and forward. 0, correct. Little bit of resistance in the backup, but still correct, a 0. Slightly prancy on the turn on the forehand. I'd like to see it a little bit more settled. So I did a -1/2. I'm just going to go back here, get caught up. So right there, I gave her a penalty 3 for obviously looking down for the diagonal. Ends up on the correct one, but it's a -1 on the maneuver score, like the, the corgi sunbathing here. And this is a better trot on the right diagonal, correct diagonal. Horse is in a nice frame. Rider's got a good position. This is a +1 maneuver. Leg maybe gets slightly ahead of the rider, especially in the sitting trot. So the sitting trot is a 0. It's correct. I would like to see her leg come back. Correct transition to the walk. Gets a little tight in that corner, but we're working with the arena space we have. So 0 for the walk. +1 on this trot. I really like that trot. Leg maybe is a little far forward on that last trot. I did a 3.5 for the F&E, and her overall score is a 71. So we're above average here, and we had some penalties and then some negative maneuver scores in there. So still slightly above average run. And now we're moving to our 5th place. We've got Rachel. Okay, found her. Get us to the beginning here. Okay. And this looks like it's a different breed than a standard stock horse, so I don't expect it to be down low in the bridle. I like that he is marching forward. I really like her position. +1 for a walk, and it's hard to go higher than that because there's not a ton of degree of difficulty. In the back, the horse pushes forward. Rachel really maintains her posture and her alignment with her shoulder, hip, and heel, but because of that fussiness, -0.5. Not a great turn on the forehand. I'd like to see her complete it more. So I did a -1 on the turn on the forehand, but steps right off on the correct diagonal, eyes up. So that was a +1 on the first trot. I also +1 this. I like that she moves forward with some energy. She's got a nice lower leg here. I love her posture and that she looks forward through the whole pattern. It looks confident. Comes down to a sitting trot. I did a 0 for this. This here may be a little steadier in her body. I like the transition down to the walk. I like her posture here and that the horse walks on, shows a little bend in the turn. I did a +1 on that walk. Handles that little bobble well, steps right off on the correct diagonal, eyes looking ahead, definitely not looking down. Nice, confident ending to the pattern. I did 3.5 on the F&E, and I probably could have even gone up to a 4 on that. I thought this was a good showman, nice clean pattern. Overall score was a 77, so definitely above average here. Okay. Now we are moving up to 4th place. 4th place, we have Allie. And my 4th and 5th place were really close. They were a ½ point apart. So could have really gone either way. So steps right up here at the walk. I like this walk. It's forward, it has purpose, +1. I like to see a little better expression on this horse, but it's correct. Soft enough in the bridle, 0 maneuver score. This could be a little cleaner turn on the forehand. I gave it a 0. Steps off, going forward, +1 on this. Correct diagonal, did not look down. Horse has a consistent pace, looks accurate. I like these circles. They're big enough that she has time to show her horse and what she can do here. +1. No problems on the correct diagonal. Comes back down to the sitting trot. I gave this a 0. Could maybe have a little lower heel, little steadier hand. This walk I like. It's not a high degree of difficulty, but the horse marches on, +1. Maybe a little hesitation going into the trot, but correct. So I did a 0 here for that maneuver. Overall form and effectiveness, I did a 3.5. I probably could have gone to a 4 on that. Overall score 77.5, so I was only half a point higher than the last rider, kind of, even though very different horses, similar equitation. Okay, moving up into third here. We've got Bailey, and Bailey also rode 2 horses, so this is Bailey on Going for Broke. Find her. Okay. Marches right up here. Good posture, good leg position, +1. I like this back, super soft, minimal cue. +2 on the back, +2 on the turn on the forehand, very accurate. I couldn't tell if Bailey glances down there, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and just zero that maneuver. Good change of diagonals. This is a +1 for me. Kind of bends her wrists a little bit here and there. Otherwise, I could probably go higher on that. There's a little bend in her wrist. I like to keep a nice line from her elbow to the horse's face. So that was a +1 in the sitting trot. +1 walk here, maintains her posture, forward motion. And here, she definitely does not look down, nails that diagonal, +1 here. Reins get just a touch loose for me at the end. Definitely keep that connection. I did a 4 for the F and E with the overall score of an 83. So definitely in a good category. Then for our second place horse, we have Bailey again, and I scored her a half point apart. Her 2 runs were very similar, very consistent. So Bailey walks up, +1, +1 for the backup. Horse could have a little more expression for a higher score. Another very good turn on the forehand, +2. Steps right off, correct diagonal, +1. The horse gets slightly counterbent, otherwise I could score that higher. +1 for this trot. There loses a little connection in the rein. I'd like to see just a touch shorter rein here. Down to the sitting trot. Again, a little gap in contact, but not so much that it's a penalty. So I still +1, good posture, good transition to the walk, +1 on the walk. I like this trot here, moving forward, good position, +1.5 for that maneuver score. Overall form and effectiveness of 4, so we're at an 83.5. Coming to our first place horse is Amanda. Get to the beginning. Okay. Steps forward. Nice confidence there. Horse stops very nice. +1 on the walk. +2 on the backup. Horse is very soft in the bridle. Obedient. +1 on the turn on the forehand. I like how she looks up, steps off into that trot, correct diagonal, +2. Good transition to the next diagonal. Horse gets a little distracted here, but I love how this rider's just so steady in her hands and just rides right through it, and then the horse comes right back to her. +2 on that trot, +1 on the sitting trot. Good transition to the walk, +1. Nice posture here. Not a lot of degree of difficulty, so it's harder to go higher than a +1 on the walk. Steps right off, eyes up, good posture, moving forward, +2. Overall form and effectiveness, 4, and I come up with an 86 for our total score. So great class, really strong, nice walk trot class that did well on this pattern. It's a lot of pattern for walk trot, so great job, guys.